Hello everybody, this is Sarah Wolf with another profession video for you. Today we'll be going over the long-awaited Dervish video. Yay! I know it took a little while to make the video, but here it is. Finally, the overview of the Dervish profession. Right off the bat, I'm gonna a couple little things about the Dervish. One is that it is a melee profession, which, like the warrior and assassin, it does hand-to-hand direct combat. At least that's what the base of the profession does. And most of the buffs for the Dervish is very enchantment driven. Now this is good and bad. Enchantments can last a little longer than some of the warrior stances and shouts can. However, it can be easily removed at the same time because there's a lot of disenchanting skills there in the game, especially for Mesmers and Necros. So it can be a good thing, can be a bad thing, and the other big thing about the Dervish is you only have 70 armor. Rangers do have 70 armor as well, however, that does have other defensive buffs against, for instance, elemental damage, where it has an extra 30 armor against elemental damage. Dervishes are a flat 70, so you are susceptible to damage if you're not careful. Dervishes without any of those enchantment buffs, or maybe even a stance from conviction, can be easily killed, so you have to be very, very careful when you're working with a dervish in hand-to-hand combat. So let's go over those attributes really quickly. The attributes for the Dervish is Scythe Mastery, Wind Prayers, Earth Prayers, and Mysticism. First off, let's go over the Scythe Mastery. Now, the Dervish's primary weapon is a scythe. This is a two-handed weapon, and the interesting thing about a scythe is that you can actually hit multiple targets that are in front of you. So instead of just hitting one target on a basis like the warrior and assassin can, you can actually hit up to 3 targets in front of you at one time. So this can be very good for mass damaging and other effects from maybe a Ritualist line of Splinter Weapon, where it can trigger effects multiple times if you wanted to. Other things about the Scythe is that it does give off a lot of conditions. There's some deep wound, bleeding, and crippling mixed in with the Scythe skills. And it can be a heavy damage hit because a Scythe actually does an approximately 9 to 41 damage as a base damage. So you can hit really high at 41 damage, which is actually more than a hammer, or you hit very low at 9, which is almost nothing sometimes. Sometimes even with a skill, when you hit with a skill, you actually do maybe like 20 damage versus like 140 damage at the top end. So Dervishes can hit really hard, but then again, they can hit very softly as well. The second attribute that we're going to go over is Earth Prayers. Now, Earth Prayers has a little bit of healing, not too major, and is mostly has defensive buffs and can cripple your foes and raise your armor levels to a lot higher, making you less squishy. The other things about Earth Prayers is very enchantment driven. There's a lot of enchantments buried in the Earth Prayers attribute. And there's also some actual AoE attacks, so to speak, and a little bit of damage, and it's all local. Dervish's other attacks and abilities is pretty much local. There's no really long range abilities from a Dervish. So any AoE that you're going to cause with a Dervish is basically going to be right next to you. The third attribute I want to go over is Wind Prayers. Now, Wind Prayers it's kind of a catch-22. I mean, either you have skills that remove enchantments, or you have other skills that need enchantments in order to run properly. There are bigger heals in the attribute, and an example of whether or not to have enchantment, not have enchantment, is like Duena's Touch. Duena's Touch heals you for like 50 health for each enchantment on you. Versus natural healing will give you some HP, but if you don't have an enchantment on you, it gives you extra HP. So it really depends. You have to be careful with the Wind Prayers attribute, because sometimes you want to have enchantments on you, sometimes you don't. Other things with the attribute is it has some energy saving skills and some extra damage buffing skills. Makes you run faster, can make your attack faster. So you have to be careful on whether or not you're going to use enchantments or not use enchantments with the attribute. And last but not least, we have Mysticism. Now, first off, Mysticism is actually the primary attribute of the Dervish, so Dervish primaries are the only ones that can use this attribute. Basically, what it does is when an enchantment ends on you, you gain 1 health for each rank of Mysticism. The second part of it is that you gain 1 energy for every 3 ranks of Mysticism. So basically, when enchantment ends, you will gain a little bit of health, a little bit of energy from that enchantment being removed or just plain ending on its own. Other things about Mysticism is this is where the 5 avatar forms are. This is Balthazar, Dwayna, Renth, Lissa, and Melandrew. Each form has their own special little ability and buff for each one. I'm not going to go over all of them. You can jump on wiki.guildwars.com if you want more information about each of those. And then there's a couple other skills in that area which you can actually be a little bit of healing for yourself. You can actually heal a fellow ally, and with enchantments and enchantment removals and like that. So it has a lot of mixed bag of all the other attributes all built into one single attribute of Mysticism. Some good secondary professions for the Dervish is, well, basically almost anything. I know assassins are second assassin popular with the Lissa avatar. Monks are very popular, and Ellies are very popular because, again, Dervishes are very enchantment driven. So those are usually the most popular 2 to use on a Dervish. Again, that's Monk and Ellie. Seen some warriors too for some of the stances to attack faster and like that, and for buffing like that. Other than that, that's about it for the Dervish. Again, 2 things: 1, it's melee; 2, it's enchantments; and 3, be careful when you go into battle because you can be killed easily if you don't, or if your body is not buffed up with enchantments or stances and like that. This is Saberwolf. I hope you enjoy this video about the Dervish that I finally got out there, and I will talk to you later. Thank you, and have a good day.